Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever caught yourself talking to yourself and then stopped thinking, wait, am I crazy? Well, let me tell you something. If you're not talking to yourself, you might be missing out on the most powerful conversation of your life. The way you speak to yourself defines your mindset and actions. Every thought, every word you tell yourself is shaping your perception of who you are and what you are capable of achieving. The internal dialogue we engage in is not just background noise. It is the foundation upon which our confidence, self-worth, and decisions are built. Many of us underestimate the power of our inner voice, dismissing it as something inconsequential. But the truth is, the words we choose to say to ourselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, have the ability to shape our reality in ways we often fail to realize. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you are not good enough, not smart enough, or not talented enough, those thoughts begin to take root in your subconscious. You start believing them, and as a result, your actions align with those beliefs. If you constantly reinforce the idea that you are not capable, you unconsciously sabotage opportunities, hesitate in moments that require courage, and allow fear to dictate your choices. Your mind listens to every single word you say, and over time it becomes the script that dictates your life. The way you talk to yourself is like programming a computer. What you feed into it determines the output. If you input doubt, fear, and negativity, the result will be hesitation, low self-esteem, and missed opportunities. On the other hand, if you consistently affirm your strengths, capabilities, and potential, your actions will reflect confidence and self-belief. Think about how some of the most successful people in the world, they did not reach their level of achievement by constantly telling themselves they were not good enough. They spoke words of affirmation, encouragement, and belief into their own lives, even in moments of doubt. They replaced negative self-talk with empowering statements that fueled their motivation. This is not about arrogance or blind optimism. It is about training your mind to work for you rather than against you. When you talk to yourself with belief and conviction, you create a mental environment that supports growth and resilience. Imagine a child who is constantly told that they are not capable of doing something. Over time, they internalize those words and believe them to be true. They stop trying, they stop pushing themselves, and they accept limitations that were never actually real. Now, imagine a child who is consistently encouraged, who is reminded of their strengths and potential. That child grows up with a mindset that embraces challenges, knowing they have the ability to overcome them. The difference between these two scenarios is the words that were spoken, words that became beliefs, and beliefs that shaped actions. Your inner dialogue works the same way. When you replace negative statements with constructive, empowering ones, you start shifting your mindset. Instead of saying, I'm not good at this, you say, I am still learning and I am improving every day. Instead of saying, I always mess things up, you say, I learn from every experience and I am growing. These small shifts in language have a massive impact on how you perceive yourself. The way you speak to yourself also affects your emotional state. Negative self-talk can lead to stress, anxiety, and self-doubt, making it harder to take action. On the other hand, positive and constructive self-talk fosters resilience, motivation, and a sense of control over your life. When faced with challenges, the words you choose to use in those moments will determine how you respond. Do you see obstacles as proof of your limitations, or do you see them as opportunities to grow? Athletes, and high achievers across different fields use positive self-talk as a tool to enhance their performance. Before stepping onto a stage or into a competition, they remind themselves of their preparation, their strengths, and their ability to succeed. They do not allow doubt to take control. They intentionally speak words that fuel their confidence because they understand that their mind is their greatest asset. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes your truth. If you constantly reaffirm that you're strong, capable, and resilient, those words begin to shape your identity. Your mind starts looking for evidence to support that belief, reinforcing it further. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing a mindset that empowers you rather than limits you. Your words have energy, and the way you talk to yourself creates the lens through which you see the world. Self-doubt is one of the most powerful barriers between a person and their full potential. It sneaks into the mind, whispering thoughts of hesitation, making every decision feel uncertain and every step forward feel risky. It is that little voice that questions whether you are good enough, whether you deserve success, whether you are capable of achieving what you dream of. And more often than not, we allow this voice to dictate our actions. We allow doubt to hold us back, to make us settle for less, to convince us that we are not worthy of the things we desire. We allow doubt to hold us back, to convince us that we are not good enough, that we ought to be enough, or that we push forward or retreat. Every time we tell ourselves that we are not good enough, we are reinforcing that belief. Every time we hesitate because we think we might fail, we are training our mind to expect failure. Over time, this negative reinforcement becomes second nature. It becomes a habit. We start doubting ourselves before we even begin. We reject opportunities because we assume we are not qualified. We play small, even when we have the ability to achieve more. But the truth is, self-doubt is nothing more than a conditioned response. It is something we have learned, and anything that is learned can be unlearned. Replacing self-doubt with belief does not happen overnight, but it starts with recognizing the patterns in our thoughts. It starts with catching ourselves in the moment when we begin to think, I can't do this, and instead saying, I can figure this out. It starts with challenging the negative thoughts that have been controlling our actions for so long. Instead of assuming that we are not ready, we remind ourselves that no one ever feels completely ready. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we focus on what we bring to the table. Instead of letting fear dictate our decisions, we lean into belief, even when it feels unnatural at first. Some of the most successful people in the world did not start out with unshakable confidence. They had doubts, they faced failures, they questioned themselves just like anyone else. But what set them apart was their ability to shift their mindset. They learned to replace self-doubt with self-belief. Even when they had no guarantees of success, they spoke to themselves in a way that built resilience rather than fear. They reminded themselves that failure is not a reflection of worth, but a necessary part of growth. They did not allow self-doubt to control them, and as a result, they pushed forward when others would have given up. When we believe in ourselves, even before we have proof that we will succeed, we begin to change the way we approach challenges. We become more willing to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, to pursue opportunities that once felt intimidating. Instead of assuming we will fail, we assume we will learn. Instead of doubting our abilities, we trust that we are capable of figuring things out as we go. This shift in perspective makes all the difference. It allows us to show up for ourselves in a way that is empowering rather than limiting. Negative self-talk is one of the biggest contributors to self-doubt. The words we repeat in our minds shape our reality. If we constantly tell ourselves that we are not good enough, our actions will reflect that belief. If we focus on our weaknesses instead of our strengths, we will always feel like we are lacking something. But when we start replacing these thoughts with affirmations of self-belief, we create a new mental narrative. We start to see ourselves differently. We begin to trust our own potential. It is important to remember that belief is a choice. It is not something that just happens. It is something we cultivate. And like any habit, the more we practice it, the stronger it becomes. In the beginning, it may feel forced. It may feel like we are lying to ourselves when we say, I am capable or I deserve success. But over time, these statements begin to take root. They begin to replace the doubts that have held us back for so long. They begin to change the way we see ourselves and in turn the way we navigate the world. Self-doubt may never fully disappear, but it does not have to be in control. Every time we choose belief over fear, we take a step closer to our full potential. Every time we challenge a negative thought, we weaken its power. Every time we speak to ourselves with kindness and encouragement, we rewrite the story we have been telling ourselves for years. Everything you achieve in life begins with a thought. Before any great success, before any transformation, before any breakthrough, there was first a belief, a vision, a self-conversation that planted the seed of what was to come. The way you talk to yourself, the thoughts you entertain, and the words you repeat in your mind are shaping your reality every single day. Manifestation is not just about wishful thinking. It is about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions in a way that brings your goals into existence. Your mind is constantly creating. Every time you tell yourself you are capable, strong, and deserving, you reinforce those qualities in your subconscious. Every time you tell yourself that you are not good enough, that you do not have what it takes, you reinforce limitations that may not even be real. The way you speak to yourself determines what you allow yourself to pursue. If you believe that success is out of reach, you will not take the actions necessary to get there. If you believe that you are capable of extraordinary things, you will move through life with the confidence to chase opportunities and make things happen. Manifestation is not just about thinking positively. It is about training your mind to expect success and then following through with action. It is about setting an intention, speaking it into existence, and backing it up with effort and persistence. Your thoughts and words are powerful signals to your subconscious mind. When you repeatedly focus on a goal, your brain starts looking for ways to achieve it. You begin to notice opportunities that align with your vision. You start making choices that bring you closer to what you want. This is not magic, this is psychology. When you focus on something consistently, your brain prioritizes it, and your actions begin to reflect that focus. Think about the times when you expected failure before even trying. How did you approach the situation? You probably hesitated, second-guessed yourself, and played small. And because of that mindset, you may have ended up proving yourself right. You failed not because you were incapable, but because you did not allow yourself to show up fully. Now imagine walking into the same situation believing that you were going to succeed. You would carry yourself differently. You would take bold steps, put in more effort, and push through obstacles with determination. Your mindset would create a completely different outcome. Many of the world's most successful people started with nothing but a vision. They had no proof that they would succeed, no guarantees that things would work out, but they chose to believe in their potential. They spoke about their goals with certainty, even when others doubted them. They carried themselves as if success was inevitable, and in doing so, they aligned their actions with their vision. This is the essence of manifestation. Acting as if what you desire is already on its way and doing the work necessary to make it a reality. Words have energy. The words you use in your daily self-talk are influencing your emotions, your decisions, and your confidence. If you constantly tell yourself that something is impossible, you are training your mind to give up before even trying. But if you affirm to yourself that you will find a way, that you are resourceful, that you are worthy of success, you create a mental space where possibilities exist. You begin to see challenges as temporary and setbacks as lessons. Instead of feeling stuck, you start finding solutions. There is a reason why so many high performers use affirmations, visualization, and intentional self-talk as part of their daily routine. They understand that their internal dialogue shapes their external reality. Athletes visualize their wins before stepping onto the field. Entrepreneurs speak success into existence before they have made their first million. Artists affirm their talent before the world recognizes them. They are not waiting for proof to believe in themselves. They are creating that belief from within. Every thought you choose to repeat strengthens a neural pathway in your brain. If you constantly dwell on failure, your mind will become wired to expect it. If you consistently focus on your potential, your brain will work to make that belief a reality. The process of manifestation is about choosing the thoughts and words that align with the life you want to create. It is about replacing doubt with confidence, fear with faith, and hesitation with action. You do not need to have all the answers right now. You do not need to know exactly how things will unfold. What matters is that you begin speaking to yourself in a way that supports your growth. What matters is that you recognize the power of your own words and thoughts in shaping your future. Manifestation starts with the conversations you have with yourself, with the words you allow to take up space in your mind. When you align your self-talk with your goals, you open the door to opportunities, confidence, and success. The inner critic is one of the loudest voices in our minds. It speaks up when we are about to try something new, when we step out of our comfort zones, when we take risks, or when we make mistakes. It reminds us of our flaws, highlights our failures, and exaggerates our weaknesses. It tells us we are not good enough, not talented enough, not deserving enough. This voice is often relentless, and if left unchecked, it can hold us back from achieving our true potential. The problem is not that this inner critic exists, it exists in everyone, but that we listen to it without questioning it. We take its words as truth, even when they are nothing more than fears, insecurities, or outdated beliefs we have picked up along the way. Most of the time, this inner critic is built from experiences we have had in the past. Maybe it was a harsh comment from someone, a failure that embarrassed us, or a belief we adopted from our environment. Over time, these negative thoughts became ingrained, and now they show up whenever we try to move forward. The voice of the inner critic does not need proof to exist. It simply feeds on doubt. It makes us believe that because we failed once, we will fail again, that because we were rejected before, we are not worthy of success, that because we have flaws, we are somehow less capable than others. But none of this is true. The inner critic is not a reflection of reality, it is a reflection of fear. The first step to silencing this inner critic is awareness. Most of us go through life accepting our thoughts without questioning them. But when we take a step back and observe our self-talk, we begin to see just how often we speak to ourselves in a way we would never speak to a friend. If a loved one came to us with self-doubt, we would encourage them. We would remind them of their strengths and support them in their journey. But when it comes to ourselves, we often do the opposite. We tear ourselves down, dwell on our failures, and repeat negative statements that only weaken our confidence. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward change. Once we become aware of the inner critic, we have to start challenging it. Every time a negative thought arises, we ask ourselves, is this true? Is there real evidence to support this thought, or is it just fear talking? More often than not, we realize that these thoughts are based on assumptions, not facts. Just because we made a mistake in the past does not mean we are destined to fail. Just because something feels uncomfortable does not mean we are incapable. When we actively question our negative self-talk, we begin to strip it of its power. Replacing negative self-talk with constructive, empowering dialogue is key. This does not mean ignoring our flaws or pretending that everything is perfect. It means speaking to ourselves in a way that builds us up rather than tears us down. Instead of saying, I am not good at this, we say, I am still learning and I am improving. Instead of saying, I always fail, we say, every failure teaches me something valuable. Instead of saying, I am not as talented as others, we say, I bring my own unique strengths to the table. These small changes in language shift the way we see ourselves and help us move forward with confidence. One of the most effective ways to quiet the inner critic is to focus on evidence of our strengths. When self-doubt creeps in, we remind ourselves of past successes, big or small. We think about times when we overcame challenges, when we learned something new, when we achieved something despite uncertainty. We collect these moments as proof that we are capable. The more we reinforce these positive truths, the weaker the inner critic becomes. Another powerful tool is self-compassion. Many people believe that being hard on themselves will make them work harder or perform better. But research shows the opposite. Self-criticism actually lowers motivation and increases stress. When we are constantly berating ourselves, we create a cycle of fear and hesitation. But when we treat ourselves with kindness, we create a mindset that encourages growth. Self-compassion is not about making excuses. It is about acknowledging that we are human, that mistakes are part of the process, and that we are still worthy of success despite our imperfections. The way we speak to ourselves matters. Every word, every thought, every belief we hold about ourselves shapes our reality. When we allow the inner critic to control our thoughts, we limit our potential. But when we take control of our inner dialogue, when we challenge our doubts and replace them with empowering beliefs, we change the way we show up in the world. We begin to move with confidence, take risks, and embrace challenges with resilience. We stop letting fear dictate our choices, and instead we step into the version of ourselves that is capable, strong, and unstoppable. Being your own biggest cheerleader is not about arrogance or blind optimism. It is about creating a mindset that empowers you rather than limits you. Too often, people look for external validation to feel worthy, waiting for others to acknowledge their potential before they believe in it themselves. But the truth is, the most important voice in your life is your own. The way you support yourself, encourage yourself, and uplift yourself determines how you navigate challenges, setbacks, and victories. No one will ever understand your journey the way you do, and that is why it is crucial to be the one who believes in yourself the most. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval. We learn to measure our worth based on grades, achievements, or how others perceive us. While external support is valuable, relying solely on it can be dangerous. If your confidence is dependent on others cheering you on, what happens when they don't? If your self-worth is tied to how much recognition you receive, what happens when that recognition isn't there? The reality is that people will not always validate your dreams, and they may not always see your vision. That is why you must be the one to remind yourself of your strengths, to keep pushing forward even when no one is watching, and to stay committed to your goals, regardless of outside opinions. Being your own biggest cheerleader means giving yourself the same encouragement you would give to a friend. If someone you cared about was struggling, you wouldn't tell them they were destined to fail. You wouldn't criticize them or list all the reasons why they should give up. You would remind them of their strengths, uplift them, and help them see their potential. So why do we so often fail to do this for ourselves? Why is it so easy to be kind to others, but so difficult to extend that same kindness to ourselves? The way you speak to yourself in moments of doubt determines whether you move forward or stay stuck. Every great achiever in history has faced doubt, criticism, and moments of uncertainty. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not a lack of obstacles, but a belief in their ability to overcome them. They have learned to be their own motivators, their own sources of inspiration. They do not wait for others to reassure them. They create that reassurance within themselves. They do not need constant validation because they have trained their minds to believe in their own worth, even when the world has not yet recognized it. When you become your own biggest cheerleader, you build resilience. Life is unpredictable and setbacks are inevitable. There will be days when things do not go as planned, when failures feel overwhelming, when motivation seems to disappear. In those moments, the way you talk to yourself determines your next move. Do you dwell on your mistakes and convince yourself that you are not capable? Or do you remind yourself that setbacks are temporary, that you have overcome challenges before, and that you have what it takes to keep going? Your inner dialogue in tough times is the foundation of your perseverance. One of the most effective ways to cultivate self-encouragement is through affirmations. The words you repeat to yourself shape your beliefs. When you tell yourself every day that you are capable, strong, and determined, your mind begins to accept these statements as truth. It is not about pretending that challenges do not exist, but about reinforcing the idea that you have the ability to navigate them. Instead of saying, "I don't think I can do this," you say, "I will figure this out." Instead of saying, "I'm not talented enough," you say, "I am constantly improving and growing." These small shifts in self-talk have a profound impact on your mindset and your ability to push forward. Another key aspect of being your own biggest cheerleader is celebrating progress, not just results. Too many people only allow themselves to feel proud when they achieve something big, but real growth happens in the small daily victories. Every step forward, no matter how small, is proof that you are moving in the right direction. Acknowledge your progress, recognize your effort. Celebrate the fact that you are showing up for yourself even when it's difficult. This practice strengthens your confidence and keeps you motivated even in the face of setbacks. Surrounding yourself with a positive environment also plays a significant role. While self-encouragement is essential, the people you spend time with can influence your mindset. If you are constantly around negativity, doubt, or criticism, it becomes harder to maintain a strong belief in yourself. Seek out those who inspire you, who uplift you, and who remind you of what you are capable of. At the same time, limit exposure to people or situations that drain your energy and reinforce self-doubt. Being your own cheerleader does not mean isolating yourself. It means making sure that both your internal and external environments support your growth. Consistency is one of the most powerful forces in shaping who we become. It is not the big dramatic moments that define our success, but the small repeated actions we take every day, the way we talk to ourselves, the habits we build, the way we show up for our goals. All of these things compound over time. Success is not about motivation alone, because motivation comes and goes. It is about discipline, about making a decision to keep going even when it feels difficult, even when there is no immediate reward. When we think about achieving something big, whether it is personal growth, a career milestone, or a new skill, it is easy to get overwhelmed by the end goal. We see the final result in our minds, and if we are not there yet, we feel discouraged. But the truth is, greatness is built through consistency. The people we admire, the ones who achieve incredible things, did not get there overnight. They showed up day after day, even when it was hard, even when they did not feel like it, even when no one was watching. They trusted that every small step they took was building something greater. One of the biggest reasons people give up on their dreams is that they expect results too quickly. They put in effort for a short time, and when they do not see immediate success, they assume they are not good enough or that it is not meant for them. But real success comes from patience and persistence. It comes from understanding that progress is not always visible in the beginning, that growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes obvious to the world. A seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, but that does not mean it is not growing. Consistency in self-talk is just as important as consistency in action. The way we speak to ourselves every day shapes our confidence, our mindset, and our resilience. If we only practice positive self-talk when things are going well, but allow doubt to take over when challenges arise, we are reinforcing an unstable foundation. The key is to create a habit of speaking to ourselves with encouragement, no matter the circumstances. When self-doubt arises, we acknowledge it, but do not let it control us. When setbacks happen, we remind ourselves that they are temporary. When we feel tired or unmotivated, we tell ourselves that pushing through is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. Small habits, repeated consistently, lead to massive transformation. If we want to become more confident, we practice speaking to ourselves with belief every single day. If we want to develop a skill, we commit to improving by just a little bit every day. If we want to build resilience, we train ourselves to keep going even when things get hard. It is the daily effort, the small wins, and the quiet determination that create long-term success. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when obstacles feel overwhelming, when motivation is nowhere to be found. Those are the moments that test our commitment. Those are the moments that define whether we continue or give up. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to keep going, to trust the process, and to believe that consistency will lead to results. Even when progress feels slow, even when no one else sees the effort, the discipline to keep showing up is what leads to breakthroughs. Building self-belief through consistency is a practice, and like any practice, it requires commitment. It means choosing to focus on progress rather than perfection. It means understanding that some days will be better than others, but what matters is that we do not stop. It means training our minds to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than reasons to quit. Every time we push through discomfort, every time we silence doubt with action, we reinforce the belief that we are capable. The most successful people in any field are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who understood that mastery comes from repetition, that resilience is built through challenges, and that success is a byproduct of consistent effort. They trusted the process. They did not wait for perfect conditions or the right moment. They created progress by showing up every day no matter what. When we learn to embrace consistency, we take control of our own growth. We stop waiting for motivation to strike and instead build the discipline to keep moving forward. We stop measuring progress by immediate results and instead trust that every step, no matter how small, is bringing us closer to our goals. We stop letting fear and doubt dictate our actions and instead create a mindset that thrives on persistence. The results may not come overnight, but with consistency, they will come.